Indranath Roshni and I'm from Group 3. Today I'm going to speak about Hume. That is, do we know what the real is? In representational theory of knowledge, which says that we are conscious of ideals and impression of ideals, which comprises the perception. Joseph Butman, in general period, that is 18th century, he said probability is the guide of life, and Hume was satisfied with that. He called his skepticism a mitigated skepticism because we do have relation of ideals. Mathematics about Hume is not about real thing, and it is about a logical relationship between number of concepts and geometrical concepts. Hume maintained the mathematical as a purely logical form or logical relationship, and its entities are simply ideal and nothing more. He prepared many cases, and the first case of Hume is material body, and he himself believed in existence of material body simply because of the experience of the study. Second case is causal connection or causal power. We have no causal connection in our mind body relationship, no knowledge over the relationship between God as creator and the earth as the creation. He talks he talks a little about the occasional view that God is the only causal power and so cause everything. And the third case is free will. That is, there is two lines of thought, and the one that comes through most clearly and inquiry is the most simple one. And there are many some constant conjunctions between will and the action. Libertarians who asserted the freedom of will, the libertarians is trying to deny the cause of necessity. He says that there is predictability about character, behavior, action, and the way of thinking of different age levels. We only think that will is free because we experience a force, all we experience is the spontaneous kind of impression. Next, the fourth case, that is mind. Mind turns out nothing but succession of ideas, a bundle of perception of appearing and disappearing. Next, the fifth case, that is immortality. He was written an essay in that is on 1770 about mortality of soul. By the more light of reaction, it is difficult to prove the immortality of soul. End of the essay, he says nothing, and set in full of light in infinitive obligation which mankind has to divine revolution. The metaphysical arguments is from concept of substance, that is, there is no logical basis for it. He is not denying the existence of material body, casual concepts, the free will and the mind and the immortality. All these beliefs are based on impression, on physical, on psychological beliefs rather than the logical evidence. Seventh case is miracle. That is, he was made particularly an issue by virtue of a mechanist science and with emphasis on the rigid kind of mechanism of creation. He defines a miracle is violation of natural law. That is, in violation of natural law, he talks about two things. First is violation of causal necessity, and the second is violation of uniformity. The last case, that is God. Uh, in addition to divine providence, he has two other work of belief in God. That is, one is dialogue concerning natural religion. It deals with the logic. And the second one is history of religion. That is that which deals with the psychology.
I am Kaipada Vinod Chandra from third group. Today I am going to speak about Kant's epistemology. Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher and one of the central Enlightenment thinkers. Kant's comprehensive and systematic works in epistemology, metaphysics, ethics, and aesthetics have made him one of the most influential figures in the modern Western philosophy. Today, we want to look at his epistemology. Its theory will cover the two sections of the critic that he labels the transcendental aesthetic and the transcendental analytic. The aesthetic having to do with the sense perception and the analytics having to do with the understanding. It's because the concept that we have in the understanding that we are able to make judgments. It's because of a prior structures of perception that we are able to have clear perceptual ideas, sense perception, clear and distinct ideas of that sort. So keep that distinction clear. Kant says that the concept without percepts are empty and the percept without concept are blind. So we have to not only distinguish the faculty of sensing from the faculty of thinking, not only distinguish sense representation from the abstract ideas, but we have to recognize the sense representation prerequisite developing abstract ideas. They are connected. We are familiar with the rubric ever since Descartes that the mind is immediately aware of its own ideas, which is simply subjective representation of external realities. And this framework is one of the cores which Descartes, Locke, Berkeley all begin with the human essential and a Kant as well. Kant is assuming the rubric which was a part of rationalist tradition in which he was raised. He has project that arises within that tradition. The problem is trying to handle a problem that possessed by rubric. That is to say, how we get the idea of cause and effect. Perception of thinking, according to Kant, the confluence of two things: the raw input on one hand, and the form that the mind gives to this. The perceptual experience we actually have, what we actually experience, is formed, structured sense experience. If the empirical input come to us anatomistic, confusing every sense, somehow rather it gets sorted and ordered. So our faculties must provide some sort of structure. Well, and the same is true when you come to understanding, because the perception we have provide perceptual experience, but how do we get individual perceptual experience from general ideas? To the sorts of concept that the understanding work with, well, he maintains that once again the mind is so equipped, so functions. But you make different kinds of judgment because you have learned to categorize, and they are not appear empirically derived. That what mind provides is nothing an experience to provide you with the categories. He is working with Cartesian framework, but instead of the mind being passive, the mind is active, contributes. It's the mind that structures experiences and thoughts. It's the mind that creates its own meaningful world. Thank you.
Здравствуй, my name is Kalatil Muhammad Alfat Rahman and I'm from third group. So today I'm going to speak about Kant's ethics. At the end of his first critique, he points out that even though in terms of what belief we could know metaphysically, rationally, we cannot demonstrate the existence of God. Kant's ethics says that there are four factors. One is preliminaries, and the other one is categorical imperative. The third one is corollaries. In that freedom, then immorality and God are included. Then the fourth one is religion. The fact that in examination and analysis of moral experience you uncover by the transcendental method, this categorical imperative does not have to follow the person if the freedom of your will can turn your back on the principle. And he says that it is impossible to think of anything at all in the world, or indeed even beyond it. Kant ethics are organized around the notion of categorical imperative, which is a universal ethical principle that stating that one should always respect the humanity in others. Act is only in accordance with the maxim through which you can let at the same time that will it become a law. Спасибо.